Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader with the morning market update. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. Alright, in this video we're going to be taking a look at our cryptocurrencies for today. We have our Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polkadot, Uniswap, and Dogecoin. So these are some of the top requests here today. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to make sure to like and subscribe. Also, we have a morning market update on our traditional stock markets, as well as the dollar, 10-year, and gold, silver in different videos. I'm doing these videos separate. This is like basically a 3-part daily update. That way, if you're only interested in some, you can just watch the ones you like, or if you like all three, obviously watch all 3 videos. Lets me get the content out to you guys a little quicker. Lets me separate it up into potential asset classes that you'd be interested in. If you have requests on specific cryptos or other assets, please leave those in the comments. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share these videos with your friends, as I am trying to grow the channel and bring basically the more love I get from you guys and interactions and whatnot, the more videos I'm going to produce for you. So the more you want, the more you got to give. So there you have it, guys. So here we're going to get started. This is not financial advice. Essentially what we're looking at right now is a key inflection point on Bitcoin. We came all the way up here to 42,000, topped out, came down, got the 8 and 21 cross to the downside. We have now averted the cross, but we did put in this massive, basically indecision or bearish candle. Moved back up to higher prices, got rejected very powerfully back to the downside, but we are currently maintaining the 8 and 21 cross. What I'm paying attention to is, are we going to, hold here above the 8 and 21 and then get continuation? And this just was a consolidation, found support at key levels off the 50-55, and then we get like move to the upside here and break out to new highs, or at least to back to like that 40,000 range. Essentially at this point in time, we've just gotten breakdown, and then we got a breakout thanks to, Elon and his random garbage tweet that basically like messed up market structure. But in the meantime, it got rejected. Did exactly what I said. Sold off violently. Same thing silver did. Sold off violently. And that's the problem with these pump and dumps. Same as XRP did. They pump the price up and then dump onto all the later people. So you get into position, move the price in your direction, and then just take a dump all over everybody that chased after it. And it's extremely bad for markets and almost always results in market massive moves to the downside. And that's what we're seeing now in many cryptocurrencies, many traditional stocks, and now silver as well. So we need to be very careful, as typically, when all this money starts like converging together into specific markets, it's typically market tops. And especially with the euphoria going on, the technicals have not been lined up with like the fundamentals. World economies are terrible right now. GDP is way down, even if you count all the money printing. And stock markets are continuing to rise higher, hit all-time highs, cryptos, all these things. So typically the euphoria comes before the fall. So it's looking worse and worse. Also, if you watch the other videos, you saw the treasury strengthening, dollar strengthening, and basically everything else is selling off now. So you need to be very careful. Make sure we locked in those profits. Again, not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. Moving average wise right now, could we get a move back up here and put in a higher low? Could we get a close basically above, 39,000? Up here at 40,000 off this, and then sell back off? Yes, for sure we could. And it would be a high, a low, a lower high, and then a lower low. Could we break out to the upside right now and get continuation? 100%. We got the positive cross right here. We got the negative cross and the hard sell at the absolute top on the daily. We left the bullish control zone. We got multiple red histograms, and those were the tops calling out right there. We crossed below and lost the slope on the TJD TDMACD. Got a massive dump after we were below that as well. We're showing some life, some green down here. We got the cross back up on the jewel thief. So there's definitely potential, but we could get a situation like this where you cross up and then you cross back down. So we need to pay very close attention to what's happening here. But as long as we're back on top of the 821 moving average, as long as we are crossed back to the upside, as long as we're showing green histograms, I don't see any reason to get bearish on this asset. Those are, we basically found support at a key level multiple times. The first time we got a weak move back up and a hard rejection, and then came back down it. And the second time, even though we got a lower close, we got a much more powerful rejection. Even if this was just Elon Musk, basically like showing off his ability to pump assets that he's not even involved in. But, regardless, it got us back on top of our moving averages, and it looks like we're going to get continuation to the upside. So I go with the trend here, and the trend has been up for quite some time now. There's no reason to think that we're not going to continue going up here, but we do need to be very cautious, as when the moving averages are very close like this, the slightest move can cross them back to the downside the same way the slightest move can cross them to the upside. So it's not unrealistic to think we'd come back down here to that 27,000 target, or at least back down here to touch the parabolic SAR and the 50-55 moving averages. It's also not unrealistic to think we're going to come back up here and get an actual close, not just a massive rejection wick, up in this like 39,000 range. A lot of times when you get a big rejection wick like that sells off, it clears out the books of, sell orders, and then it makes it easier for price action to move back in that direction. So that's what I'm paying attention to right now. If we, there's definitely some high likelihoods that we could see a move in either direction right now. But more important than anything, we just need to be like extremely careful in these markets, as we could see basically anything happen right now. So I'm not overly bullish. I'm not overly bearish. But I am, we are in an overall uptrend. So that's what I'm paying attention to. So let's put on our Fibonacci here and take a look. That is from the high at 42,000 to our low sell-off right here at 28,800. And look exactly what happened and how we knew to take a short off the Elon Musk wick. Basically, price action pumped up. The time here it touched the zero, came back exactly to the 0.5, came back down and could not get down to the zero, then came all the way back up to the 786. So we came to the 0.5, went back down to the zero, came all the way up to the 786. So that's what we call a 2-fib bounce. 2-fib level bounce means we hit the 0.5, then the next time we hit the 618, and then we hit the 786. So we came down, and then we got back up 2 higher. So now the key is we're paying attention to, are we going to come down and put in another higher low? So our low was the wick down here at 28,700. Then our next wick low was just above it at 29,000. So we could sell back off here again. As long as we don't come down lower than this wick right here, we are starting to develop an uptrend. Now on closes, this is still a downtrend, but we have potentially broken out of this pattern here. We had a descending resistance line right here. Depending how you draw this, there's a lot of ways you can draw it. We can draw it from the absolute tip of our candle there basically, and just go by wicks. These are our daily wicks. You'll see all these touches exactly at it. Once we break out above that daily wick, that's when we get like that massive move to the upside, which was rejected, but we came back down and we basically found support on that line. So this was our resistance line. We broke above it, came down, and now it's our support line. So if we break below it again, it's going to look very bearish. But if we stay above it long enough, it's going to look very bullish, and we'll expect to get continuation. If we do get continuation, what we want to see is we would expect this close here to be at or above, this 0.5. You'll see we're finding resistance on the close here. But if we go by wicks, we would expect a wick up to 36,300. A wick up potentially to retest the 786 at 38,654, or you'll see the wick touched here exactly at the 886, which would put us at 40,132. So our bullish targets are the Fibonacci levels to the upside. Our bearish targets are Fibonacci levels to the downside. So if here we broke through and put in a low at the zero, and then we broke through but didn't quite come down to the zero, our next target to the downside, if we break back down, is going to be the 236. So 31,487, which, depending when that happens, we could come down here, find support at this diagonal line and the 236, find support, and then get continuation. Obviously, that would look extremely bullish. Or again, if we break down from it, we lose the 821 moving averages. We come down, test the parabolic SAR, potentially flip this back over to the downside. This is very bearish, this parabolic SAR here. We took it out and it looks bullish, but the difference is before, when we were getting parabolic SARs, we would get like 4 reds right here, 2 reds right here, and then we get a ton of greens in a row. Here we're getting, a ton of reds in a row, and so far we have just a couple greens in a row. So are we now going to come back down and take this out and flip it back over red, and we are now going to confirm that we're in a downtrend and that we're getting bullish retracements after our bearish continuation sell-offs? Or are we going to flip this back over and this was just an extended consolidation pattern, and then we're going to get bullish moves to the upside? So and then we can look at now, say we were to take out our high here at 42,000, which again, our targets would be the 786, then the 886, then a double top, and then after that, the 1.236 is going to give us our target of 45,700, 1.382, 48,363. 1.5 is a very common target at 50,541. And then, of course, the 1.618 at 53,078. 53,000 would be absolutely beautiful. But the overall target typically for one of these bullish bounces, and extension targets is a 2.618, as everyone knows. And that would be 77,382. So, it's obviously very, very early to be getting that excited, as we're still at 34,848 on this Tuesday morning at 9:09 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But if we take out that previous high, these fib extension targets start becoming extremely likely. You don't want to get too bullish too fast, but if you look at that 1.5, 1.618, then the 2.618 are the most likely targets to me. So there we have Bitcoin for today. Again, don't get overly bullish. We're at an inflection point in the market. We are at a support/resistance point. We have dabbled with it as resistance here multiple times. Barely got above it. When we did, we pumped straight up. When we came down below it, we dumped straight down. So we are just consolidating, looking to see what happens. If we enter back into a daily uptrend and we can cross these back and confirm them to the upside, there's no reason to think that our last confirmation, the last time we had crossed these to the downside and then we kind of did this move here, that was back at 10,600. So we went from 10,600 to 40,000. Could we go from, basically where we're at right now, 33,000 up to 77,000? Yep, definitely could if we cross this back to the upside and get an elongated bull trend like that. So pay close attention, but don't jump in too soon. In my opinion, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research, trade responsibly. It's always better to dollar cost average into an uptrend than to jump in all at once and then it turns out being, a fake out basically. So next we have Ethereum. Ethereum moving averages. Let's switch back over to the daily. We're in obviously an elongated uptrend. Ethereum looks much more bullish than Bitcoin. It never actually got that cross down. It never threatened the 8 and 21. Basically right now we are at, not a wick all-time high, but as far as candle closes, we've gotten this like resistance point put in here, basically forming an ascending triangle. We have a flat top here, resistance. We have higher lows on the bottom for support, corresponding with the 21 moving average. And if we get that breakout, we can expect a, nice powerful move to the upside. Where's that moving average or that measure move going to take us to? We can basically take it from, depending where you're taking the measure move from. If you say just from the top right here and bottom right here, basically have that already in place, obviously. That measure move would put us at 1,669. If we came down and broke to the downside, it would be 1,050. So either one of those is a possibility right now. But, essentially we're just filling out this triangle and it looks like we're attempting, that break to the upside. If we switch over to the 4 hour, basically on the 4 hour, it was a little bit more of like a flag pattern, but you can see here we have a low, we have a higher low, we have another higher low, we have a high, we have a lower high, and then we had another lower high, broke out of multiple times. We did the same thing over and over again. We basically had a descending channel, measure, move, break, descending channel, measure, move, break, descending channel, measure, move, break, and now here we are breaking out of the potential triangle, retesting the top. So what happens today is going to be very important. If we can get a higher close on the daily today, I would expect that measure move to the upside. And if you waited for confirmation at the end of the day, you're looking at basically a 16% move. Even if you took a position out of here, and if we break that back down below this, you basically said, okay, I'm going to get stopped out on this position. you could be looking at a 2, 3, 4, 5% stop loss to the downside from where we're at right now, with a potential 15% move to the upside with all-time highs. So you're looking at, if you take a 3% stop loss to the downside, 15% move to the upside, you're looking at a 5-to-1 risk-reward ratio. So, the real trade right now is, basically setting your stop back inside this triangle, or even out of the bottom of the triangle, and, setting your trade to the upside. We can even put the trade up here. If you took it just right where we're at right now, and you set, let's say you set a 7.5% to the downside and a 15% to the upside, 16 here. So that would be our measure moves to the upside. That would be a breakdown out of the triangle to the downside. That's a 2-to-1 risk reward trade right there. And you wouldn't even have to actually take that big of a stop loss. I would say if you broke back down inside of this pattern, by more than a wick essentially, you could basically be looking at closer to like a 3 or 4-to-1 risk reward ratio. So nice trade on here, Ethereum to the upside. Could fail and go back to the downside, but the Stoch slope, which is a very simple, very easy, very effective indicator, showed us strength off this support, both times. It was an excellent trade, corresponded with our channel. Same as here, we had this downward sloping channel right here, got the Stoch slope flip, massive move to the upside, downward sloping channel, Stoch slope flip, massive move to the upside, downward sloping channel, Stoch slope flip, massive move to the upside, breakout, potential continuation. Looking at a 15% move in Ethereum. Look how aggressive, this downtrend is right here. Very aggressive. The slope is just like, very strong to the downside. Here it's a little less strong to the downside. And you could draw this however you wanted. You could draw it like this, depending on what time frame you're looking at. And then once you break out from it, slope here is strong, slope here is strong, slope here is less strong. Break out to the upside, test the resistance, eat through some sell orders, come back down, test the resistance, eat through some sell orders, come back down, test the resistance, eat through some sell orders, and then get the break to the upside. Typically that's how it happens. It usually breaks on like the third or fourth attempt. And it corresponds with our indicator oscillators. Flip the slope over blue right here, massive move up. Flip the slope over blue right here. Could we do it again? Flip it over blue here, get a massive move up. It looks very likely to me, but obviously it depends what Bitcoin does. So looking bullish right now on Ethereum. Definitely some nice targets to the upside. Could it get rejected and come back down? Could it easily break out and get our measure move to the downside? Of course. Could you take a trade in either direction right now? Yep, 100%. It would be a nice move to the downside. If we broke out, measure move, come back down to the 236 from our all-time high here. That's going to put us down at $1,021. And, what would from where we're at right now, if you shorted resistance, which is always a good trade, buying support and selling resistance. If you bought support, sold resistance, bought support, sold resistance, bought support, sold resistance. That was a good trade so far every single time. Looking at a potential 30% move to the downside. You could essentially take this trade in either direction right now with a responsible stop loss and risk reward ratio, and do very well on this. So paying attention to that for sure. Ethereum has some big moves coming very soon. So let's look at Polkadot next. DOT. All right, so basically what we have with Polkadot is similar thing going on here. Took some nice trades on Polkadot here. Probably took some profits a little too early, but I'd rather lock in those profits and miss a little bit of gains, because there's always another buying opportunity, obviously. But we topped out so far up here at $20 basically. From that point, we have this hard resistance in place. We got above it a couple times on the 4-hour, but just basically rejection after rejection. Started putting in a downward sloping triangle. You could call it a flag. Low, higher low, higher low, high, lower high, lower high, lower high. And then now look, we look like we have broken out of this pattern now. As soon as we broke out of it, started to get a powerful move, started to get rejection, as Bitcoin did as well. But now here we're consolidating. Are we going to come back down, retest this, and then get our measured move? That's typically what happens in these situations. And once again, not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research. Trade responsibly. obviously not financial advice, but, if we come down here and basically same thing, you could take a 14% move to the upside, measure move without even breaking to the upside, 5% to the downside. You're looking at a risk reward ratio of 3 to 1. If we get a little pullback here, you could even take the trade from where we're at now and it's over a 2 to 1 risk reward ratio. And then if we get the actual measure move, of this massive pattern, let's look at it real quick. This massive pattern that we had basically here, this whole thing going on here, we're looking at basically like 20 something dollar targets, $22 targets potentially. So once again, great buying opportunity through the bearish control zone, ride it to the upside, sell resistance, buy support. Once again, at the support line, left the bearish control zone. Could we get the measure move to the upside here and take us up to that 1857 target? Definitely looks promising, and that's like 14% risk reward right now. If we got that pullback or if you took the breakout trade already. So definitely a nice trade right there. Good setup still, even if you're late to the party. Again, not financial advice. Just telling you what I do. Let's see. Next we have Uniswap. This one has been just running away. We took quite a bit of profits basically when our stop loss got hit. I think it was at like $15 back in this range right here. And then still ran away another like 33% up to $20, $21. Here we're showing a little bit of weakness now. Came down, touched a 21, came back up, got a longer close higher. But basically just retest that double top. Are we just starting to form another pattern? The same pattern that all these cryptos are doing. Flat resistance up here at the top with a series of, higher lows. That's what it looks like to me. Once again, looks like we are in a position to potentially buy support right now. Found support on the blue slope line right here on the TJD TDMACD. Got a massive move up. Got that high. What I'm paying attention to now is we have a high on the TJD TDMACD. We have a lower high on the TJD TDMACD. So what that means here is same high, higher high, lower high. That is bearish divergence. So what does that tell us? Basically, if we do not get continuation and get this indicator oscillator up here higher than our previous point, that's likely to get a violent sell-off to the downside. So, and that's going to potentially correspond with, we got the blue cross to the upside, entered the bullish control zone, bullish control zone, bullish control zone. And now here we have a high. A high right here, a lower high right here, another lower high right here. So 1, 2, 3 drives. And then here we're coming up here. Let's see where this one comes up and puts in a high. Is it going to hit here about 80? Barely touch the bullish control zone and then get rejected. Definitely potential for that happening here. So we're paying attention because if we look at that high right here, that was our high. We look at the next high right here, that was our high. We look at the next high right here, that was our high. So that's 1, 2, 3 drives, potentially 4 drives of bearish divergence on the 4 hour. 4 drives right here. So could we get rejected here? Could we come in and get a massive sell-off? It is definitely possible. I'm definitely paying attention to that. If we get rejected here, we're already below the 8. Our next target would be to the downside to retest the 21 at 1820, then the parabolic SAR at 1730, then the 50-55 and our previous resistance area right here to act as support. That's going to be 1569. So this thing was running away while everything else was selling off or consolidating. It's not unrealistic to think now that it's going to sell off when everything else runs away, or if it sells off, if everything sells off, it could sell off more violently. We did lose our slope right here for the first time since way back here. So we got the red slope and violent sell-off. Here we got that blue slope all through here, and now it's red. We're below it. Looks like we're about to get a violent sell-off. So that bearish divergence is very likely to be playing out on Uniswap now. Be very careful on this one. Crypto trend trader, not financial advice. And now the one that everyone's been waiting for, Dogecoin. So what's going on with Dogecoin? Got a massive parabolic run up based on absolutely nothing at all. Obviously just another pump and dump. Came up from basically 0.7 of a cent up to 80, 90 cents. So, you know, basically a over 10x. Nothing has changed with this crypto. Just a pump and dump. You know, pumped up, whatever it is, you know, 1,000% basically. 10x. Yeah, 1,000% pump. Then sold off from that point. 74%. Still way above its previous high back here. You know, or its breakout point back here. So, you know, what's going to happen next? When we sold off here to the low, we got our fib target to the upside. Couldn't even make it to the 618. And then we came from the 0 to the 618. Came back down so far to the 236. But we have a low and then potentially a higher low. But this thing looks extremely bearish to me right now. We're about to get the cross between the 821 on the 4 hour. We got it right here, but saved it. Basically never crossed. We saved it. Here it looks very, very likely. These are often the best places to take trades. Whether you're going to get bullish on this thing or bearish on this thing, you know, right at the parabolic SAR, it's stop and reverse point. It's typically like your resistance or support. And, you know, if you take a trade off of that point, like here, if you took a short off this point, you know, it never came higher than that. If you took a long off this point, you barely had to have a stop loss in place because you knew right away you got rejected and got stopped out of the trade as we went lower. Same thing looks like it here. This thing is going to start strengthening to the downside, and Doge is going to start selling off violently. If it does not get a move up here soon, target to the downside is going to be 2.7 cents, 2 cents and 7/10 of a cent. Next, 2.2 cents, 2/10 and 2/10 of a cent. And then, you know, it's not unlikely to think we would get our moving average 200 exponential or simple retracement, which would be 1.5 cents. Potentially down here to 1 1/3 cents. Completely wreck the Doge army, the dog-eat coin warriors. You know, we are below the slope line. It's about to flip over red. We have multiple histograms in a row. You know, we have left the bearish control zone multiple times. Got up here, put in a high, put in a lower high, getting ready to have the cross between the blue and the purple. You know, here obviously, bullish control zone came all the way up here. Sorry. Bearish control zone, got the hard buy back here. If you took that hard buy, you did 1,000%, a 10x off that hard buy. This indicator is amazing. If you took the hard buy back here, you know, or I'm sorry, we never got the hard buy. We just got the bullish control zone. Or bearish control zone. So be very careful. You know, this is a giant pump and dump scheme. It always has been. Everybody knows it. This chart does not really show it, but you know, this thing came out on the exchange at 3.6 cents. And sold off down here, you know, basically consolidated in the, this is not even 2 cents. It's 2/10 of a cent. So 2 cents would be 0.02. This thing hung out forever at 0.002. So came down as low as, on Kraken, came down as low as $0.001. So that is 1/10 of a cent. 1,000th of a dollar. You know, pumped up here almost to 10 cents. So that is a massive move up. If you look at this on a different exchange, it has massive spikes up and then goes straight back to 0. Massive spikes up, goes straight back to 0. Massive spikes up, goes straight back to 0. Over and over again on these charts. So be very careful with this one. This is a notorious pump and dump scheme. You know, there's no actual fundamentals or technicals or anything behind this. The weekly chart crossed over positive and got the hard buy back here at, you know, 3/10 of a penny. You got the hard buy and the 821 cross. Here on the Stoch slope, we are getting ready to get the cross back to the downside here very, very soon. And that would, you know, very likely take us back down to that same area, you know, somewhere in that like $0.003 range. So, you know, if we did get, let's just say from where we're at now, you know, let's say we found some kind of support in this area, you know, you're looking at a potential 88 to 90% loss in this thing. Even if we came back down to that previous like parabolic pump up right there, you know, you're looking at a 68% loss from where we're at right now. So between 68 and, you know, 88% loss. That's pretty much all your money gone. So be very careful with this one. Not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. If you would like to see any other cryptos, any other assets, if you have any questions about how I use the tools, how I use the indicators, you know, I have videos on most of those things. It is all provided for free. If you'd like to show your support in crypto, there are links in the description. If you'd like to show your support for free and just, you know, share, like, subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. The 0.5 Fibonacci from this little retracement back here, you know, the previous little pump up retracement back to the 0.006 cents up to the 0.086 dollars. So that was like 0.6 of a cent to 8.6 cents, the low to high. You know, potential retracement would be the 0.5 down here at 2.4 cents, the 618 down here at 1.7 cents, or the 786 or 886 down here in that penny range. So don't want to get stuck holding this bag, just like you do not want to get stuck holding that you know, GME bag. As GameStop, there's a reason that stock was at $3 or $4 for a very long time, and seeing it up in like the $400 range is just like a full-on facepalm to me, because nothing has changed with these pump and dumps. What happens is new investors or new speculators rush into these things, and you know, the other people have already loaded up their bags, and then you end up with someone else's bags. That's why they called them bags, because you are packing up to go to the moon, and they are selling you those bags, and you're going to hold them or sell them for months or years or forever, and the price action will never get back to that high again. The company will go bankrupt. The, you know, altcoin will die. The, you know, developers or, you know, executives or CEOs will move on to some other project, and you will be stuck wondering why, you know, why you never get your money back, or be jaded on investing or speculating. Whether it's stock markets or cryptos, it's extremely bad for the space. It's extremely bad for these assets, and you know, I would not wish that upon any of you. So please make sure that you are investing smart and not just speculating dumb. Crypto trend trader, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile. Please do your own research and trade responsibly. Make sure you check out my videos today on the stock market, traditional markets, as well as the dollar index, gold and silver, as well as the TLT. I made 3 videos today, separated them up. Tell me, do you like it having 3 separate videos with the different asset classes in them, a little bit shorter each, but overall more content? Or would you prefer just one video with it all jam-packed into one place? Hopefully I can get some responses and your guys' opinions, as well as you know, potential assets, charts, whatever you'd like to hear my opinion on, etc. Crypto trend trader. And for the 3rd time today, I'm out of here.